Aw, look how peaceful the little guy is. Hey there, little ferret. How's you going? You okay? You okay? Yes, you are. You want to hear a story? I know you're trying to go to sleep, but I figured you wanted to hear a story. Hmm? Hear a story? Oh, you want to hear a story. Here, I'll put you to bed. What kind of story do you want to hear? We got plenty of books, but I don't think you want to hear that, do you? No, you don't want to hear that, do you? No, you want one of the good stories? Alright, he wants one of the good stories. Alright, fine, fine. Well, let's go get one of the good stories, okay? You know these are forbidden texts, right? You don't care? We're not allowed to tell these stories. Alright, just for you. The forbidden stories. All cataloged. We got... I don't know, what are you feeling like? Anyone? Alright. Well, there's a new one. There's a new one today. I think it has something to do with demons. Do you like? Alright, I'll stop wasting time. Let's see.
Look in a dark room, unable to see my hands or the cold floor of moist concrete. I could only feel the water stealing the heat from my skin. The room was cold, and though I could not see my breath, I know the moisture was visible. That's when she appeared. I could only describe her as a demon born of hell. Her skin illuminated the room in a soft red glow. The glow drew my gaze to her face as she opened her mouth. Two voices emerged. The first a soft and angelic piece meant to grab attention, but under a dark and low growl, unable to hide nefarious intentions. Her only words being, "Welcome, human." I can't say I felt fear, but rather curiosity. From the moment of waking, one question tormented my mind. "Where am I?" I asked, rather hoarsely. She seemed pleased with the question as it carved a small smile on her face. She replied, "This place? I like to call it the break room. Really, it's just a storage space left over that I claimed for my subjects. But right now, it's dedicated to you." I could only ask then, "Does that mean I'm one of your—" She interrupted before I could finish explaining. "Yes, in fact, you're one of 1,000, entrusted to my care." I interrupted her. "Why am I here?" She explained. "Well, I guess I'd have to give you the rundown. You're dead, and you're here in, I guess, the afterlife." I had to then ask her, "If I'm dead, then you mean this place is either heaven or what I assume hell would be like, and that you're a demon?" She spoke again, answering in a voice of resembling realization. "Oh, I forgot you were one of those humans. Well, heaven and hell aren't two different things. Rather, like demons and angels aren't two different things. Like you humans, some are good and some are bad. The same applies to heaven and hell. Some parts are good and some parts are bad. The simple explanation is, for every 1,000 humans that die, God creates and assigns a new creature like me that learns from the combined wisdom of those people and experiments with that group with the combined goal of eventually discovering a perfect heaven to put all the, I guess, good humans, and hell to put all the bad humans. That's where you come in. Can you guess which experiment you're a part of?" I took time to think. I couldn't remember anything but the life I lived on Earth. At first, I thought with all the bad it had, that my experiment was for hell, to constantly push a person and their family towards rock bottom and progressively dig deeper. But then I remembered all the good parts that it did include, all the laughs and fun I had during the process, so my guess became clouded, for I believed that hell is eternal suffering. So if I didn't constantly suffer, then I must have been in her idea of heaven, where bad pieces make the good ones better. But again, my judgment became clouded. I couldn't figure it out. I replied to her with a solid "I don't know." I can't guess the experiment or whether I was in heaven or hell. All I know is the life I previously lived, and I believed it was on Earth. Her slight smile faded as her expression tensened to a more serious state. She said, "I'm sorry, but your experiment was hell." Emotions of confusion infused with anger arose in me. I replied to her comment, "I knew it. Why was I in hell? I'd only remember what I did to make me deserve it." Her expression now switched to confusion. She calmly replied, "I'm sorry, but it should seem pretty obvious." "Oh, that's right again. I apologize. I forgot again I was dealing with your ideology. You believe that what classifies a good or bad human is their actions, but rather here it is different. What classifies good and bad in the eyes of God is adherence to your purpose. Throughout your life, your purpose always felt like an itch, but to find it, you just had to explore it until it was satisfied. I mean, it really wasn't that hard. You had all these years, and you nearly found it, but you never chose to fulfill it." I knew exactly what she was explaining. I had tried it many times before, but never had the courage or patience to fully finish it. All these years I had spent wasting away on bits of pleasure I could find, not caring to ever think that at any moment my life could be finished. I believed that all I had to do to get into heaven was simply not hurt anyone, but the truth was it didn't matter what destruction I left behind, as long as I had fulfilled my purpose. It wouldn't have mattered, and yet I was still confused. I asked her, "You said my experiment was hell, but I don't remember being there." She answered, "Another good question. See, I don't know what you'd call me, a demon or an angel, but things like me, just like you humans, have a purpose as well. I explained it earlier, but again, we must find the perfect heaven and hell for humans deemed no longer relevant. At first it seemed easy. I thought eternal pleasure for the good and eternal suffering for the bad, but so easily was I proven wrong. See, if I gave everyone eternal feelings of joy, they would constantly need higher and higher doses to feel satisfied. They became addicts and depressed when I couldn't give them any more. And those who I made suffer would become masochists whose minds tried to enjoy the pain as part of the alluring insanity the pain would put them in. So I had the reverse effect happen, where the bad felt good and the good felt bad. So then it seemed simple to reverse the experiment, but my superior wouldn't allow it, as it seemed contradictory to the idea. So I looked at other avenues to try to find heaven and hell. My other idea was to give good humans everything they ever wanted. That didn't work, as they became depressed, and the idea of not having anything to strive for. I took everything away from the bad ones, and again they became happy at the idea of working for anything. And again, my superior didn't allow me to simply switch it, since it seemed contradictory to the idea. I tried so hard and for so long until one day you came to me. You were tired of living through my hellish experiments, so you proposed that if you could fulfill my purpose, I would switch your groups. Desperately, I agreed. Your idea of the perfect hell was to simply make people relive their lives as they originally did. Since they didn't complete their purpose, they would constantly feel unfulfilled and suffer. Then once they had finished, I would remind them of why they had failed. Though, to make it work, I would have to scrub their memories each time. I tested it on you, and it worked perfectly. Now, if you were a real subject, I would just have to give you time to dread having to go back until you finally restarted you. But our deal is fulfilled on one end. But what is your idea of a perfect heaven?" I was amazed and yet terrified of the idea I apparently had given her. One part of me wanted to scrub it, since this hell seemed unbearable and cruel to make everyone endure. But the other was relieved that I answered a universal question, and the idea that I could invent the perfect heaven for myself and others. She looked at me, finally breaking her conformed state, and for the first time showed a bit of impulse by impatiently asking me what the perfect heaven was. I knew what my perfect heaven was, so I assumed it would work for everyone else. I simply answered, "Let them live stories that they or others create." Give them time to make the best ones and share them. Let them be the people in their favorite books or movies, or maybe just include themselves. Let them alter the stories as they choose. For the idea of heaven and hell is very simple. Heaven is freedom in its purest form, and hell is confinement at its worst. She approached closer to me as her posture became more serious. She simply stated, "You know, we'll have to test it now." I could only reply with, "I know, and I have the perfect story to start with."